So here's a problem that has a decimal number added to a fractional number because the fraction is 1/3. This is a problem we would have to convert over to fractions. 1/3 is not an exact decimal. So negative 6.2. The 0.2 I'm going to write over here, and I purposely said it that way because if you read this correctly, it would be 2/10, and that is how we write the fraction, 2/10. In this case, I can actually divide the numerator by 2 and the denominator by 2 to simplify the fraction. It's not that you have to simplify it, it's that it makes the numbers smaller, which in turn makes the problem easier. So, my first step is to rewrite this as negative 6 1/5 plus 4 1/3. Now it's already an addition problem, so I don't have to worry about the additive inverse property, but I am going to decompose each of my mixed numbers. So I have negative 6 plus negative 1/5, make sure you decompose that correctly, plus 4 plus 1/3. Decomposing negative, each piece should be negative. Decomposing positive, each piece should be positive. Next, I'm going to use the commutative property to move my whole numbers together. So I should call them my integers because one of them is negative. So negative 6 plus 4. And then I'm going to move my fractional piece over here. And so I get plus negative 1/5 plus 1/3. So there's my commutative property of addition. Next, let's do the easy part of the question, which would be in red, negative 6 plus 4. So over here, here's my positive team, here's my negative team. I have 6 points on my negative team, and I have 4 points on my positive team. My negative team is winning by 2 points. So this will be negative 2. That's the easy part of the question. The more difficult piece is the blue fractional piece because we're going to have to get a common denominator. So let's start off with the common denominator would be 5 times 3. There is no number that I can just multiply easily by multiply 5 by to get 3 or 3 by to get 5. And so instead we can just multiply by each other. So this, I'm going to multiply the numerator and denominator by 3. So I end up with negative 3 over 15. And notice I'm just putting everything back. And then plus, in this case, I'm going to multiply this by 5 and multiply my numerator by 5. And so I end up with 5/15. Okay? And then moving down, my last step, I would need to look at the common denominator of these is a 15. And so the numerators are negative 3 and 5. So same thing over here. I'm just going to do my scoreboard. I have 3 points on the negative team, 5 points on the positive team. The positive team is winning by 2 points. And then I'm going to put back my negative 2. So this piece here is also considered associative property because I grouped those together. This here, I grouped these together and rewrote it as 2/15. So that would also be considered an associative property. Then my very last step here, and yes, you could use a number line, but I'm going to use the common denominator strategy even for this. So I know I'm not done because I need a singular number as my answer. So this, I'm going to create a fraction. I'm going to multiply to get the common denominator of 15. I'll multiply this by 15 and multiply this numerator by 15. And I get negative 30 over 15. And then plus, carry that down, 2/15. And then here's going to be my final answer. But here we go. 13 points on the negative team, 2 points on the positive team. The negative team is winning by how many points? 28 points. Okay, So this would be considered an answer, and if you wanted to write the mixed number, I would have negative. How many groups of 15 fit into 28? Only one group of 15 fits into 28, and there are 13 left over out of the 15. So my answers are either negative 28 over 15 or negative 1 and 13/15. Reviewing back to the beginning, it is a pretty long problem, so adding and subtracting mixed numbers, wow, I don't know where it went, can definitely take a little while. And so look at where we started, and then there is a lot of work to do this one problem.